Hello my sweet little yam pies! The original 7 motorcycle myths video was such a hit that you guys were sliding into my DMs trying to get a part 2. So I gave in. We created a part 2. And just like that mouse that wanted a cookie, you guys needed me. So here we are, 7 more motorcycle myths part trace. Public service announcement before we begin today's show, there will be no more 7 motorcycle myths videos. This is it. The code has been cracked. The myths have been busted. Well, who am I kidding? We might do a part 4 when I'm old and bald and... hang on a second. Let's just get on with it then. We've talked a lot about folklore concerning motorcycles and their riders here at Yammie Noob. Everything from racing tires making bikes faster to tackling interstate riding. If you missed part 1 and 2 in this series, check out the links in the pop-out cards up above. There won't be any spoilers in this video, but you wouldn't watch the last movie in a trilogy and watch movie 1 or 2, so don't cheat yourself and check them out. But before we jump in head first into the unsavory waters of motorcycle content, be sure you're subscribed to the channel. Every subscriber I get fuels me and allows me to continue absorbing the souls of the living in order to produce so much quality content on the internet. Second, this video is supported by the great people at Manscaped. Seriously, anyone willing to help out a guy who's doing a hentai rap motorcycle deserves your attention. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about them later on. Up first, we've got one of the most common and probably one of the most annoying myths, if we're being honest. Helmets are pointless. You've probably heard it before, the guy who rides without a helmet and tells you that helmets are just so someone can identify your body after a crash. He says they don't really do anything and they're just a waste of money. You'll probably die or be severely maimed in the event that you're in an accident, so why would you bother wearing a helmet? Guys, seriously. Remember that sweet ass clip of yours truly flying 25 feet in the air after colliding with a Porsche? You remember that? Do you also remember how I lived to tell the tale and oh yeah, I was wearing a helmet? Look, I have slayed some bikes in my day. I've got 2 major accidents on record and I've survived both of them miraculously, and both times I was wearing a fitted proper helmet. Have I pulled some douchebag moves in my day? Of course I have. But you could not pay me enough money to get on a bike with no helmet. I built a shrine to my helmets for this reason alone. Before too long, Arai is gonna have to start sponsoring the channel, and along with Triumph, still waiting on my checks, bro migos. Help me support all those illegitimate children, please. In fact, I trust Arai so much that I went and got another helmet from them for my future rides. No, sadly, they did not pay me. I just really trust the brands and they saved my dome, my beautiful, bald, shiny dome. Let's get on to the next myth. Myth number 2, you have to ride with new tires underinflated. What? So there's some seriously logical sounding mythology going on here. This myth is based on the mythical substance used to keep new tires from sticking in the tire mold, aka tire mold release. Legend has it that the slippery tire mold release is a slippery lube substance that makes your tires super slick, resulting in crashes when you get new tires. Here's the thing, that slippery crash-causing substance doesn't actually exist, at least not according to the senior manager of Bridgestone America or the director of marketing over at Dunlop. According to those cats, they don't use any kinds of sprays to keep the tires from sticking, and there's no need for any kind of mold release. So what gives? There's clearly a breaking in period when you get new tires. Hell, there's a breaking in period for new tires on a car too. You just don't notice it as much as you do on a bike. So is riding underinflated the answer? I guess if you like damaging the sidewalls of your new tires or risking blowout, which have been known to cause riders to lose control and have dangerous accidents. So yeah, if you like those things, then riding on underinflated tires might be for you. But for everyone else, let's look at the science behind this one. The only saving grace for this one is track day junkies are known for riding on the sticky tarmac dragging knee with a slightly lower PSI, but since you'll never get a street tire up to those temperatures you'd see on the track, you're better off sticking with the recommended inflation for your bike. When you wear in a set of tires, their profile changes over time. They ride in a certain way and your reflexes for that particular riding profile become second nature. When you put new tires on, the riding profile changes, but your involuntary reflexes stay the same. Just pay attention, ride safely. Myth busted. Now we move on to one of the most pervasive myths. Myth number 3, it will never happen to me. Okay, some of these are starting to get really out of hand. Every time you put on a motorcycle helmet, your gooch juice riding gear, and throw your leg over that rumbling motor, it could happen to you. Every decision you make and the decision to ride is that you're knowingly taking a gamble that whatever it is might happen to you. There are no surefire ways to guarantee or know that you're never gonna have an accident on your bike. There just aren't. Which is why it's so important that you take a safety course, wear your protective gear every time you ride, even if it is just down the street, and ride carefully. No one wakes up thinking, hey, today's the day, the big bad it is gonna happen to me today. No one does that, so don't be dumb. use your head. While it's possible to mitigate risk on a motorcycle, you are certainly always in danger when you're on one. It can happen to anyone at any time. It's an inherently risky activity, and it can most certainly happen to you. So if you're okay with the risk and you take steps to avoid it, you shouldn't worry about it. Number 4, buy your dream bike first, then you'll be happier than if you settle for a beginner bike. Guys, gals, folks in between, let me clear this one up for you. Buying a beginner bike is not settling, it's beginning. You don't decide to play baseball one day and sign up to play in the major leagues when you've never even played t-ball. If you're a beginner, then please just recognize that you're a beginner. There's no shame in that beginner game. We've all started there. Hell, you're probably watching my videos now because you're starting out. And that's perfectly okay. Let sweet Papa take into his arms and spoon feed you some delicious triple cylinder bikes and listen to the dulcet tones of my voice. And hell, now you can see my wonderful face too telling you these things. We're making meaningful improvements around here at Yammie Noob. There are enough reasons why this is a bad idea that I could make an entire video about it, but maybe I will. But let's just focus on one reason for now. Most beginner riders have no idea what they actually like. That's right, I said it. Just because you've Googled all there is to know about bikes, and trust me, there's a lot, doesn't mean that you know what you actually like. It just means you have an idea of what you find aesthetically pleasing. Until you're comfortable riding, have a little experience under your belt, and get a good idea about the type of riding you're going to be doing and the type of machine that fits your style best, you're only buying a motorcycle for how it looks. Trust me on this one, squids. You can't buy your dream bike as your first bike unless you know what that dream is. And if it's your first bike, it's just a fantasy because it will likely change once you put some miles in. Now, let me tell you what isn't a fantasy. Butter smooth nutsacks. Yes, that's right, it's that time. We're talking about male grooming once again because the good people at Manscaped have decided it's a good idea to support my insanity. In case you don't know or haven't binge watched all my videos, the good people at Manscaped are the only brand dedicated to below the waist grooming for men. They've got this trick shaver called the Lawnmower 2.0 that has a ceramic blade that's guaranteed to not nick or cut. Guys, seriously, I whacked this thing on my balls like they owed me money and there's not one single bump or nick on those bad boys. They've got tons of awesome products designed for hygiene downstairs, and I tell you what, the only way to mitigate gooch juice is through a salient nutsack hygiene. For a limited time, fans of the Yam are going to get 20% off by using the code YAM20 at checkout and clicking the link. And guess what? Yam negotiated free shipping for you too because I love you and your balls. Don't sleep on this one, boys. Get 20% off those smooth nuts. Let's keep this gravy train moving right along. Number 5, using hearing protection while riding is dangerous. This one I can actually see how it became a thing. It makes sense that not being able to hear would make riding more dangerous, but science just isn't with us on this one. In fact, riding without hearing protection is actually more dangerous than riding with. Whether you're on a sport bike or a cruiser or you fall somewhere in between, you spend a lot of time on a high decibel revving machine. That means at some point during your ride, you reach what's known as the temporary threshold shift, or TTS, which is actually a temporary deafness caused by prolonged exposure to loud noises. Hearing protection doesn't completely cancel out all the noise around you, which is where most of the fear of riding with it comes from. Riders feel the need to be able to hear everything around them when they're riding, and with good reason, but wearing hearing protection doesn't mean you're gonna miss out on what's around you. It just reduces high decibel and high frequency noises so that it doesn't cause permanent damage to your hearing. Keep in mind that while TTS is temporary, eventually the damage will become permanent. I'm a huge advocate of wearing earplugs when you ride. Not only is it gonna make your riding more comfortable, it's also gonna make it so that after you do those Wangan style midnight highway runs at 140 miles per hour, you won't have that pesky ringing in your ears. Don't do late night speed runs, Papa's just being silly with you. Cruising along to the 6th myth you shouldn't even concern yourself with. Number 6, traction control will make me faster. What is with you people and your obsession to be faster? You already have a motorcycle. What more do you want? Why do you have to be an absolute and utter degenerate? Why are you the way you are? Oh, that's right, because I've kind of made you this way. I feel partly to blame. I'm gonna get trolled for this, I can feel it. But traction control is not gonna make you faster, and here's why. Most people don't even ride hard enough to experience what traction control is actually gonna do, so if you're a noob who isn't confident in their riding ability just yet, traction control doesn't exist. If you're a track day expert who hits it hard and fast in tight turns, and you might see the benefit from traction control as far as glossing over human errors. It's really better suited for riders on the road who encounter lackluster conditions, and in those situations, being faster is generally not the first thing on their minds. But I tell you what, having a 6-axis IMU and 17 degrees of traction control certainly gives you bragging rights when it comes to owning a bike. No doubt. And finally, my scrumptious followers, number 7, it is better to stay in your lane than to lane split. Splitting lanes is actually illegal across the country except in California, which is odd since most of the countries I've visited allow lane splitting as common practice. In Paris, for instance, riders often lane split too deep. So I'm not sure where the fear of lane splitting came from. Maybe it's all those terrible GoPro videos out there of people thrusting open their car doors while a rider's splitting. It sends them sprawling. Whatever the reason is, studies have shown that in California, it's actually safer to lane split than it is to stay in the lane surrounded by heavy, slow-moving traffic. And for many bikes, sitting in traffic is bad for your bike. Few things are worse than being stuck in traffic and then having your bike break down because it's overheated. Now, for our new segment on our show. It is Comments of the Week, where I find my favorite comments and show you good people some of the insanity I see on a weekly basis. If you want to be featured, there's only one way to do that, and it's to leave me a sweet little note to read. Let's do this. User Solo.01% writes, "Don't go to a bike showroom. Don't smoke crack or shoot heroin. All three are hard to quit when you're on them and you lose everything." Now this is very true, guys. I did a crack exactly once and I died. And I also looked at a Ducati once and now I live under a bridge. Davis Wynn writes, "Sorry, Yam, I couldn't watch the video. I got the big gay." Hey man, I have a terminal case of the big gay and I still made it through the video, so don't let your differences define you. And our last comment, Diodu24 provides an excellent insight and valuable commentary on the content we've produced. They write, "Penis. It's subtle, succinct, and dare I say, bold." Now that's a wrap for today, my dudes and dudettes. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell to get updates for all this Yammie goodness. Be sure to check out our motorcycle giveaway. We're doing super cool things here in 2019, like brand new bike giveaways. I'll catch you guys next time. See you later. Fact: the smallest human penis ever recorded was 5/8 of an inch long. Mr. Baby Penis, we salute you. Goodbye.